Welcome back to my Piss Me Off video series. But today, I want to talk about something that a lot of people probably have been experiencing, not just me. And this is related to the, Charlie Kirk assassination. But it's not about him specifically. It's about how this country has been divided by Fox News and all the people like Charlie Kirk who work all day, every day to try and get people to hate other people. So I'm going to give you a little story about what happened with me. And that is that I grew up in a Republican family, mostly conservative until the Tea Party came along, and then they joined the Tea Party. They were no longer conservatives. They were Tea Party MAGAs. Of course, not MAGA came after, but yeah, they joined and just advanced up to being MAGAs. Now, I had a different kind of view, and I had different exposures, all right? They never had the kind of exposure to other people like LGBTQ, people from other countries. I mean, my mom was, European, but she was also very conservative. She grew up in Hitler's Germany, and she told us all about Hitler's Germany so that we would not repeat this again. Yet, she was in the Tea Party and the MAGAs and the Mormon church, and she'd become a Nazi. Amazing how that happens. But here's the interesting point. All right, I had two brothers, older, younger, and my father was a Green Beret. All right, he did 3 tours in Vietnam. He was actually a POW on his 3rd tour. I never thought I'd see him again. Fortunately, things worked out and I did see him again. Now, me and him, we, we're probably closer than my other 2 brothers were with him. We went shooting every weekend at the range. We loaded like 500 to 1,000 rounds of ammunition every week. And we would go shooting first thing in the morning when it's still foggy and cold, and we have our coffee, and it was like, you see cowboy hat, right? We had 4-wheel drives. We were in a 4-wheel drive club together, right? We'd go out in the woods and, we had a lot of fun. He taught me mechanics when I was like a little kid, right? Which propelled my career into the military, right? Where I started out as a mechanic and ended up not a mechanic. Let's just leave it at that. But later in my life, we had our disagreements because I had different experiences than they had, right? I had to move to California, San Diego, and this was like a big wake up to me. I mean, big wake up. Now, I wasn't like a big conservative to begin with, but I had never been exposed to other people. And you can imagine what other people looks like. And then I realized that all the bullshit that I was, raised with and taught, and the whole military bullshit was bullshit. I got to know a lot of these people. We went out, to parties and holidays, and I got to know them, and I was like, what the hell? Why is everybody, upset with all these people? I love them. I actually, some of the friends that we hung around it with in San Diego, they were really, really fun people. And I was like, why was I taught to hate these people? I don't get it. Well, that was my life experience. They didn't have that same life experience. My older brother, he joined the Army as a Ranger. And my younger brother, he was a pacifist. And he joined the Army to, basically do anything but shoot a gun. So we were all military people, right? It was in our freaking blood. But me and my father, we had a very close connection, and we spent a lot of time together, with the shooting, the four-wheel drives, having the mechanic stuff. I mean, we built our four-wheel drives by hand, right? I mean, we built the engines, we lifted them up, the whole thing. So that was a very thing that we had in common, and that bonded us together. But in the end, even though I spent all this time with him, shooting, four-wheeling, country music, yada, 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 all this stuff. In the end, I was the bad guy. Yeah, I was the bad guy. They were so MAGA that they basically stopped talking to me. They took me out of their will, right? Yeah, they just wrote me out of the fucking will. I got nothing. They stopped answering my calls. They blocked me. And so I was pushed out of the family. I was pushed out of the family because I had a different view of people than they did. Yeah, seriously. That was the big issue. They didn't believe in climate change. They didn't believe in, progressive, health care for all, whatever. You just name anything Democratic. They hated it. And they saw me as being that progressive politic. And so they just pushed me out of the family. So in the last, years, I had no contact with them at all. they didn't even tell me that my father was dying, right? He was in a fucking bed, right? On hospice. By the time they told me, oh, he may only have a few days left. Maybe you want to come and see him. So I did. It was about an 8-hour drive from where I live. So I took my son, right? He was, very close to my father. So we said, let's go see him because I don't know. They're not giving me a lot of information. Let's go see him. The whole time that we were there, they watched us. They would not leave us alone in a room by ourselves, me and my son, right? It's like we had a constant, security patrol. We could never be alone together in my father's house. So we had to leave, right? We'd go to a bar, have some, lunch or whatever, have some drinks. And eventually, we just got tired of it. It is like, they don't even trust us. Like, what, we're going to steal something from the house? I didn't know, but it's like, we just said, forget it. We're leaving. So we did. Well, my father didn't die in a couple days. I think he actually lasted another week, 3 weeks, maybe a month, before he actually finally died. And they didn't even fucking tell me. So imagine, they didn't even pick up the phone and tell me. They told my son, and then he called me and says, oh, by the way, I got a phone call that your father died. Like, okay. So the point of this is that this division of MAGAs and their ultra Nazi fascist views is dividing families and dividing this country, because we couldn't even talk to each other. I was willing, but they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to talk to me about facts. If it was something that they didn't believe, they didn't want to talk to me about facts. And that's why they cut me off, cut me out of their will, and just abandoned me. Which I was okay with at that point, because I was pissed too. I was really pissed that I was being blocked from my own parents. But again, getting back to the point, I don't know how we're going to get this country back together. I really, in my heart, do not believe there is a way to mend this country's divisions anymore. And you can look at it. You can look at the news. You can look at, the social media. We are two different countries. The one country that believes in people, right? Compassion, right? And the other side that just hates. They hate everyone and everybody unless they fly the Nazi flag. And I don't see a bridge, right? I tried with my family. I tried to build the bridge. No, they wouldn't hear it. It was like, you're a communist. And that's it. That's it. It was good. That's it. There was no other conversation. You can't talk about, I mean, at the beginning, before they, blocked me, we couldn't have a conversation because everything is political. If I asked them, oh, well, how's the weather? It's like, the weather's fine. It's not your fucking climate change. Okay, conversation over. What else do we want to talk about? So anyway, I just wanted to share this, that I really don't have a lot of confidence in the future of this country, because I don't see us mending the fences. I see us building better fences, right? And I'm old, right? I'm 65. So my days are numbered. Well, let's say my years are numbered. I don't think in my lifetime I will see a United States anymore. And anyone that tells you we are a United States, they are joking. They're pulling a fast one on you, because we are far, far from united. They may, and people will tell you, oh, we have more in common than we don't, that we differ in. Oh, no. Oh, no. My family was a textbook in why we don't have more in common. We couldn't even have a conversation about anything that didn't turn political, me and them. Even if I tried to not be political, they would throw it on me. So, good luck. And that pisses me off. Have a nice day.